Hi, my
Yeah.
name is John, and
Hi.
welcome to Camp Tales Dog Talk, a show where we talk all things dog with interesting guests from all walks of life. Today, I'm delighted to introduce via Zoom Gemma Oaten, an actress probably most known for her role in Emmerdale, playing the character Rachel Breckle, tackling some tough topics such as domestic abuse. She's also appeared in Holby City and Doctors, and recently in the movie Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool. Outside of acting, Gemma has become a producer, public speaker, and philanthropist. Mispronounced almost, helping to promote other various topics close to her heart, including prostate cancer, dogs, and eating disorders. On researching my guest, one thing was clear: Gemma is a genuine, kind, and compassionate person who's using her platform and status to help and promote the wellness in others at every opportunity. She absolutely adores her young Schnoodle Ruby, who is on screen now, who is often the focus of her Instagram feed and who joined her family nearly 3 years ago. So with that being said, hi, Gemma, and welcome, and thank you again for coming on for a chat. First and foremost, how are you, and how are you adapting to the new normal, whatever that might be?
I'm all right. She's cracking me up. She's so tired. I took her out for quite a big. I mean, it's quite warm today as well, and I don't know about your doggy, but she gets a little bit more lethargic quicker, so she's ready to sleep. But I just wanted everyone to see her. But yeah, no, we're all right. She's going off now. She might come back in a bit. We're all right. We're all right, aren't we, Rubes? She's really sort of helping me massively through all of this. I was on tour, and I was sort of 6 months in to the tour. So I've been away from home. So she'd been with my parents back in Hull, and I've been sort of on my Sundays off whenever I could. I'd go back to Hull and see her. So it's not like I didn't see her for 6 months. But the tour got cancelled all of a sudden, and the next thing I knew, I was in Hull bringing Ruby back, and we were home. And it was quite a scary thing for me, because you sort of doubt yourself, like think, oh God, am I still able to now to be a dog mom?
You've almost got to learn again, I guess. Yeah,
but I mean, it comes back, but it was all of those like anxieties and fears, but then with the added thing of like going, I'm trying to bring her back to normality, and nothing's normal. So it was very strange.
Yeah, it's weird.
Very strange indeed.
The word normal will take on a whole new meaning. None of us really know what it's going to be like on the other side. The dogs in particular, where me personally, I'm struggling, even though I work with dogs all day, every day, and Loki is with me all day, every day. It's just trying to adapt to him suddenly being with me all the time and not having his friends to play with. So it's odd.
That's interesting though, because so when she came back, it took her a little bit of like, oh right, okay. So I took her straight. I got her back about 3 days before the lockdown fully took hold. 3 or 4 days, and to establish that she was home, I took her straight to Ilbrook Common, which is the common across the way where I live in Fulham, and she loves it there. And I took her there, and then went to see my best friend. So I did all the things that we used to do, and she quickly sort of adapted. But then what happened once the lock-in started and the pubs closed and all of the sociable things that we used to do, like she comes to like meetings with me, it all stopped. So on the flip side, I'm quite used to Ruby being home with me, because obviously like being self-employed, if I'm not on stage or on set, she's with me.
You.
But equally, it was a different dynamic, definitely. And it did weird her out. And I think the sense of everyone outside was quite tense as well.
Dogs pick up on emotional changes so quickly, a lot sooner than we do, as I'm sure you're aware of. So they'll be aware and they'll react to it. So it's a bit of an odd situation for them to sort of get used to. The other sort of underlying problem that I think we're all going to have, and you've kind of said exactly what we're all doing, we're changing our whole routines around the dog. There's going to be a point where things are going to go back to some sort of normal, and the dog's going to probably struggle, because in your instance, you're suddenly not going to be there all the time, every day again. Loki's going to have to go back and mix with all his friends again and not be one-on-one with me all the time. So it's a worrying thing for the future, but we'll just have to adapt.
What I've tried to do with her is, I mean, don't get me wrong, for my mental health during all of this, she's just been a godsend. But what I've tried to do with her is go on different path, like routes when we've gone for our walks, and also her dog sitter, Heike, I've still been dropping her off at Heike's once a week.
Oh, that's really good.
Just because I just think she needs that interaction with other dogs still, and she loves hiking, and it's a play date for her. And also equally, you know, I'm struggling financially, we all are, but Heike all of a sudden has lost her intake of dogs, so it's just my way of saying to Heike, okay, you know, I know it's
that's
only
lovely.
1 day a week, but it's something. And I just think
really nice.
that's something that not a lot of people are thinking of doing, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I 100% agree from the dog's point of view. From a small business owner point of view, 100%. Every little helps from whoever, from all walks of life. I mean, we lost pretty much our whole intake overnight when the announcement came out, and I totally agree with it, and we're fully supportive of it. But it was a shock to the system that suddenly we had a lovely cohort of dogs that were coming regularly, and suddenly overnight done, and we're sort of sitting here waiting and hoping to get back as soon as possible. But that's just from a business point of view. The underlying problem is our whole ethos is socializing dogs. These dogs are suddenly going to be starved of their socialization, and they're going to come back and they're going to be a bit odd. But yes, that's your poor. But
so
she's
Sparker. Look at her. She's just gone to sleep. I'll get her back in a minute. But no, I mean, I do think, you know, if people do feel comfortable with it, and as I say, I know money is tight for everyone right now, but I just think it's something that Heike's been amazing. Like, my dog sitter and dog walker has been absolutely amazing over the last 3 years with me and Ruby. You know, done me so many favours, you know, when I've been struggling between jobs, and I just think it's a two-way street, really. Like they say, it keeps a little bit of something coming in for her, but it's also really good for Ruby, and I'm not gonna lie, it's really good for me.
Yeah, you need the separation as well. It's full on, and yeah, it's hard work. A lot of people are finding out how much hard work it is to look after a dog. Teachers with children as well. So teachers are going to suddenly find out how valuable they are to the parents, because the parents are going to be pulling their hairs out. It's all right for a couple of weeks at a time, but 3 weeks deep, trying to entertain the kids when they can't go out and do what they normally can and socialise with their friends. It's very, very strange, to say the least.
Yeah, I know. And she was a little monkey on the start of the week, and I was feeling a little bit low, and I think in hindsight she picked up on it, but on Monday she was an absolute bugger. Like, she just wouldn't stop barking. I couldn't even sit for a second. She wanted me, and I just started sobbing. I just started sobbing, and she looked at me as if to say, "Oh my God, what have I done?" And I felt awful, but I did sort of have that moment where I went, "God, this is just me and a dog." Like, you know, and I love her more than life itself. And everyone who knows me knows that we come as a package, and I adore her. And I would never normally get frustrated with her, but it's such an intense pressure cooker, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a cabin fever situation, and the dog won't understand. So she's probably acting out because she's becoming more needy, and then you're not giving her attention 24/7. She's like, well, why not? You were the other day. I need this now. And she won't understand, but you almost breaking down, she'll pick up on that, and she'll probably break, okay, sit down, fidget bum. Just constantly feeding him treats, which is not good.
You're such a good...
But you've said a couple of things that are literally on my list of things to talk to you about. The mental health and no, it's absolutely fine. Like I say, I just want it to be a chat. The mental health and well-being dogs that provide for us is just, it's amazing, and you don't really realise it until you have one and you feel like those kind of emotions going through, and it's amazing that they can just be those little sponges, and you can generally feel a little better if you just have a little cuddle and a little stroke of the dog, because I'm pretty sure I've read somewhere that it releases the same endorphins as eating chocolate does. So
absolutely.
So I think everybody with a dog
at
the moment is grateful.
was I sort of changed my, because I had that meltdown, but I changed my view of things on Tuesday. I really made sure that when we woke up, because I don't know what your baby's like, but she waits for me to open my eyes, and she's like literally there waiting to pounce. And on Monday, what I'd done was I'd not slept very well, and I was like, "Oh, Ruby, just get off." But then on Tuesday, once I'd had that breakdown, and I mean, it wasn't a breakdown, but you know, I did sob my boots out, and it felt good. I'm not gonna lie. No. But on Tuesday, when she did that, my first thing was, "Hi, beautiful," And and honestly, she's been so much better since. For the last 4 days since that moment, every morning I've made a conscious effort to just, not that I need to, 'cause she brings me joy anyway, but just to
Yeah.
make sure that we start off the day in the best possible way. And
Yeah.
actually, I'm not doing that for her. I'm actually doing that for me as well.
But she'll get the benefit from it. Just with that
Yeah.
outset look, she'll just see that and she'll feel that positivity too. And she's almost pushed you to a line and been like, oh, okay, I went a bit too far then. All right, mum needs me.
But
So,
you know, not everyone can have dogs, and I get that. But how wonderful that is the power and effect that you know they can have on us through all of this.
Yeah.
That we wake up in the morning and our first thought is, right, here she is my little one. Let's have a really nice day today. And we have. She's been fantastic. But like you say, I think the struggle when it comes to it, you know, I don't know how Ruby's going to be going back on tubes and trains and buses.
You're almost going to have to
Lots of
treat her like a
things.
puppy again and recondition her
Yeah.
to all these things and desensitize her to the world again to get her used to it.
How are you finding? So I've seen that you've done this brilliant Zoom Instagram. That's why I want your Instagram. I need to do this one time. I'm so desperate to do it. How has the feedback been from a lot of other like dog owners then, in terms of how they're coping with it?
Everybody's going through the similar sort of problems. Noticing. It
always helps.
Yeah, it does. It makes everyone feel better when you know you're not on your own. Everybody's sort of noticing these behavioural changes, particularly with the people that I speak to. They're sort of they're extended family members because we look after their family members. But their dogs we are very close to because we see them sometimes every day of the week. And they're sort of noticing these behavioural changes and they're sort of asking for help. So I'm trying to give them engaging things to do and give them advice on not introducing new routines that you can't maintain, most importantly, because the dog will have to go back to normal. Being aware of it is half the battle. So if you're constantly thinking, right, can we maintain this? Is my dog okay? That's going to help. But generally, from my point of view, because it had been 2 weeks, I think at that point we did the first one. I loved it because I needed it. Because again, I'm used to going to work and seeing 40 to 50 dogs every day and using them to go and sort of de-stress in between doing the business stuff. And it was just lovely seeing them all on screen, wagging tails and sort of speaking to the customers again. So it was really, really nice from a therapeutic point of view. Self-indulgent, shall we say. Oh boy. So Ruby herself.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was so much fun. I was just going to say Ruby because I read this and I'm pretty sure that it's true because someone else has asked you the same question. I know the answer, but Ruby Tuesday is her full name, correct?
Yeah.
And it's not after the song, is it?
No, it was she was originally called Beauty.
Yeah.
And I mean, she is beautiful, like look, gorgeous girl. But it just didn't sit right with me. She was much more cheekier and she had a personality, like one hell of a personality. And there was a favourite series of mine growing up called Cutting It, and one of the characters in it was called Ruby, and this woman who played Ruby I actually know, but she the character was so cheeky and quirky and just, you know, out there. And when the Ruby in the series got married, everybody sang "Goodbye, Ruby Tuesday." So I just thought of her immediately, and I thought, oh, she's a little Ruby Tuesday. She's a little monkey. She does get called a lot of other things, though.
Yes, they all do, good and bad, I'm sure.
Yes. It's normally buglugs. I don't know if you've heard that. That's a very normal term.
No, I have. I don't know in what context, but definitely as a little cheeky sort of semi-insult, shall we say.
She's gone down here now. I wonder if I could move this in so you can see her.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if you can. You see her?
Yeah.
She's here.
So I'd love I love a lap dog. Loki is a lap dog, but he won't ever let you pick him up. But he'll come and invade your personal space at every opportunity on the sofa, but only on his own terms as well.
She's one of the things that I'm struggling with her. Quite funny, but not everyone finds it funny. So with the social distancing, so Ruby is such a sociable dog. like we'll play ball in the common, because obviously we're still allowed to have our walks with our dogs, aren't we? And so I take her out onto the common because she loves exercise. Like, she loves playing with the ball. Like, just walking isn't enough. So we go on there. But the thing with Ruby is she'll play with me for a bit, and then because she's so sociable and she loves everyone, kids especially, she loves kids, she goes and takes the ball, runs away, and just leaves the ball like next to people who are like
for them to
sort of
throw it for her.
and with all this social distancing going on, I'm like going, oh my God, Ruby, no, because I keep having to go and get the ball with the chucker. I'm just like, she's going to get me in so much trouble, but she's not quite getting the rules.
Have you actually had any negative from that? Because I know some people have been really funny with like, oh, keep away because of the social distancing. And with dogs, obviously, in coming up to people, you know they're friendly. They should know they're friendly. But I can quite imagine someone might say, oh, you should keep your dog on lead, which for us as dog owners, we know that's ridiculous. They're free, they need their exercise. There's only so much you can do on lead. And if they're friendly, they're going to want to come up and say hello. But I just wondered if you'd had anyone say anything negative.
Yeah, I have. There was a couple yesterday who were very nasty, actually.
Really?
Very, very nasty indeed. Ruby came up and dropped the ball right next to their young child, you know, like about that far apart.
Yeah.
And the owner went to sort of like push her away, and I was just like, don't you dare you dare do that. And the thing is, I don't know what they were doing in the park anyway, because they certainly weren't exercising.
Yeah.
You know, so it's all of that sort of thing. But sometimes you have to like fight your pick your battles, don't you? But sadly, there has been, you know, a few instances, you know, not just with Ruby, you know, with just people in general, you know, getting very nasty.
The problem with this whole situation is, I think someone said it quite early on to me, and I agreed, that we're going to see the best of people, but we're also going to see the worst of people. So it's making sure that we do our little bit and try and be, because I try to be positive wherever I can be, and just not promote that, and just trying to avoid the negativity where you can, because some people will go out of their way just to be toxic almost.
Yeah. One of the things that I do to deal with that is I always remind myself at the moment that everyone has different ways of dealing with things, and that, you know, that in terms of understanding somebody's nastiness, let's say, deep down they might really be struggling. So I always try and not take it personally, and I remind myself of the fact that everyone's got different coping mechanisms and way of dealing with things. And the other thing I do is I look at Ruby and just smile, because I just think, okay, you know, whatever, and just focus on Ruby, because she means it in a lovely way when she walks near somebody. So that's my little tip of dealing with them. We call them jobsworths.
Jobsworths, yeah. And the thing is, that's exactly right as well. You can only really control things in your own power. So there's no point really worrying about other people and what they're doing. If it's negatively impacting you, take yourself away from the situation. Which kind of leads me nicely onto something I really want to talk to you about. Two things linked, which I know you speak out about quite a lot, which I'm glad about. The Seed charity that you're part of, which your parents set up, which is an amazing thing, talking about your background and your childhood, which led on to me finding your TED Talk, which is amazing as well, because I'm a big fan of TED Talks of all things.
Oh, thank you.
It was lovely as well. So just on that, if you wanted to sort of say anything about the fact that it covers mental health, bullying, eating disorders, all of those sort of really key topics. And at this day and age, it feels like the last 12 months, there's been such a shift in awareness to all mental health issues. Which can only be positive, I think. So you being almost very much associated with speaking out and being supportive of it, I think is a really cool thing.
Thank you. I mean, that was so lovely that you watched it and enjoyed it. It was probably one of the scariest things I've ever done in my life was that TEDx talk. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? You know, I did the Emmerdale Live episode. You know, we had 10 million viewers that night, and anything could have gone wrong, you know, but that TEDx was probably more nerve-wracking than anything. And I think it was because it was me laid bare. And I've spoken about my history and my story many a times, but that TEDx talk was a real platform to really make an impact, hopefully, and a difference. and it was born out of so just briefly, when I was 10 years old, I developed anorexia from being bullied. Back then, I didn't understand why the eating disorder had started, but obviously, years of therapy later, I now understand that I couldn't control what people said or did to me, but I could control something that went inside me. And I also affiliated it with the less of me there was, for people to hurt and hate. So the anorexia began, and unfortunately, I was turned away from the doctor at the age of 10 when my mum and dad first picked up on the warning signs and told that I wasn't low enough in weight to have a problem, which was probably one of the worst and most catastrophic sentences that were ever said to me, because that continued on to me nearly dying 4 times over 13 years. And it was during that time that my parents, we were fighting tooth and nail to try and get help from CAMHS, who were under-resourced, because the government weren't providing enough help for mental health services within the NHS. And it's still very paramount today that that's the case, but I try not to go into politics too much. But they vowed that no family should ever go through what we went through, and they set up a helpline in our living room, which still to this day blows my mind, because I was in hospital at the time, and yet my mum and dad's first thought was, okay, we want to help other people whilst our daughter's going through it as well, which just is amazing. And fortunately, I got better, and I got my first role on Emmerdale. My first big role outside of drama school, and I sort of used that platform because the press was starting to sniff around, asking who was the new girl on the block, and sort of researched who my mum was, and mum Margaret, and MBE, why she got an MBE. Oh, well, she's a co-founder of an eating disorder charity. Why? Because her daughter Gemma. And I found the courage and strength to start speaking out about my experience, and used my little bit of platform that I had for good. And so I've been patron of Seed now for the last 9 years. We've been going 20 years this year. And over the last 2 years, I sort of really stepped up even more in terms of talking far too much about it.
No, it's not. You can't talk too much. You honestly can't talk too much about it.
Thank you. And Tedx was one of those things that I thought I could do to raise awareness of the charity and of eating disorders as a whole. We created an educational toolkit 2 years ago, which is a resource to help teachers teach responsibly and in a well-rounded and confident way about eating disorders, well-being and body image. And we did that 2 years ago. But trying to get this resource into schools, which is only £295 per year per school, which all goes back to the charity, has been the bane of my life.
Really?
Schools just don't have the funding. So the other reason I did TEDx, being totally transparent, was to try and get a platform again to get people to see the severity of the illness. And touch wood, sadly, what's been going on recently has paused the good work that I've been building up, but touch wood, the message is starting to get out there, and more and more people are starting to listen, and not just see me as an actress, but see me as a philanthropist.
Yeah, no, I love the word.
I can't normally say it, but my teeth are in today.
I messed it up completely.
No, God, I always do. That was just a lucky moment. So people are starting to sort of see me and view me in a different way, and throughout all of this madness that's going on, my tour ending, my acting work stopped, my public speaking gigs have been cancelled, fundraising opportunities that I had for Seed have all stopped. But in some ways, it drives me more and more to keep the message going, by being invited onto things like this with you, which is so lovely of you, and any which way that we can all help each other. I keep trying to remind people that the world hasn't stopped, it's just paused, and we really need to look after ourselves and be in the best position that we can be to make sure that when we hit play again, we're all ready and raring to go. And it's the same with our pooches, like you say, we need to make sure that we try and make sure everyone's ready for when play hits again.
Yeah, and that's all we can do. That's all we can do, our little bit, because we don't know the duration this is going to be going on for, but we just got to support who we can, be neighbourly, I guess, is the old-fashioned way of doing it. Looking out for others, because there'll be people who are far worse off than, like, that's all I always try to think of. I'm by far from in a good situation, but I know there's people who are far worse off, and I'm trying to reach out. And this whole thing has been a desire of mine to do for a while, like the podcasting stroke YouTube channel. I just haven't had time to do it. But this kind of last 2 weeks has trying to kicked me into gear. Literally a couple of emails with yourself, and
you know, if we can do things like that, that's amazing, John. Like, you know, to find that, you know, resilience and use that initiative is something that I think a lot of human beings, we're just not programmed to remember our self-worth and confidence like that. And it's sometimes when we're thrown into things that we're not expecting that we find something else. Like I always say, like, we get thrown curveballs in life, and you know, sometimes if we just go and find where the ball ended up, we discover something different.
Yeah, it's a lovely way of looking at it.
At least what Ruby does with me all the bloody time.
Loki's now given up.
Ball and she's gone somewhere totally different, and I get speaking to somebody and I find a new friend, you know.
Trying to find track of my questions because we talked about lots of things. One little thing, I'm very jealous of the fact you're in front of the dog magazine, and it's a beautiful picture as well. How did that come about?
So I was very fortunate that I linked in with Dylan Watkins from, I say fortunate just because I love him, he's amazing. So Dylan Watkins was on Dragon's Den years ago, and he was on there promoting his brand Poppy's Picnic, which is raw dog food. And but it wasn't years and years ago. I just got Ruby, and I was really sort of blown away by his like passion and his drive and his love for his pooches, and how important and, you know, relevant it was that the dogs got the best that they could deliver to them. And so I reached out to him on Twitter and LinkedIn and didn't hear anything, because I was really interested in finding out more, and I wondered if there might be, you know, a way that me and Ruby could get involved and help them as a new business, and vice versa, sort of, you know, help me in terms of being a new dog mom. And anyway, finally he got back in touch with me, and thus began our relationship in partnership in terms of me becoming a brand ambassador for Poppy's Picnic. And I literally get paid in dog food, I'm not gonna lie, like for no other reason than that. And that is so wonderful, because Ruby, she definitely changed going from dry food to raw food, like without question of a doubt, and I'm not just saying that. But yeah, this began our relationship, and then they were just looking for, you know, opportunities to promote Poppy's Picnic, and Dogs Monthly asked if they want to do an interview with me and Ruby alongside Poppy's Picnic.
So yes.
And the best thing ever was that I got these beautiful photographs of me and Ruby, and I mean, I won't bore you with it, but God, if you ever one day come round for a cuppa, like, there's just pictures of me and Ruby.
You should see my house literally behind. There's 3 pictures on my mantelpiece there of Loki.
It's so sad.
It's everywhere. But it's not at all. And particularly having a professional photo means so much. Like I love taking photos of Loki. He's a poser. He's had a camera in his face since he was a puppy. And then at camp, I spend a lot of my day now, because I've got a team of lovely carers. A lot of what I will do is go in and take photos so the owners can see what the dogs have got up to at the end of the day, either for Instagram or Facebook. And we do like videos, so I love taking photos of dogs. But when you get like the nice, it's literally a portrait shoot with your dog. It's so lovely, because that's like the proper memory.
Amazing. Like we put her in pails. Oh my God, it was so funny. Like, I'll have to send you some photos.
Yeah, please do.
Brilliant. Do you want to go out? Oh, there she goes. Do you want there? She's looking at me as if to say, I'm trying to sleep. Will you stop?
Bless her. We're coming towards the end now. Do you have any questions for me, firstly?
Do you do dog training?
Kind of, but not really. We kind of disclaimer that I can train a dog. I'm not a qualified dog trainer, but everything that I do...
I was just thinking, is there anything dog behaviour related?
I can answer dog behaviour questions, absolutely.
Oh, I've got one.
Um,
This is interesting. Well, it's not interesting, but actually, just because of the last couple of days, with the change in temperature, I take Ruby out probably more at the moment, because she needs it because she goes stir crazy.
yeah.
But in as a general rule of thumb, when it starts getting a bit hotter, do they need as much exercise? Because she's been quite more chill the last couple of days, but I don't know whether that's the heat or whether it's just because she's more chill
They can
and she
become
doesn't
more
need as much
lethargic.
exercise.
It's different. All dogs are very different. It mostly depends on how they've been conditioned and what else they're doing throughout the day. So I generally try to promote more brain activities than physical walks at times, because that can
Right.
have as much impact as a long walk, but also is far more healthy for them. So you can engage their brain, exhaust them mentally, and they almost have this relaxed sort of feeling, as opposed to I'm tired, of just run a marathon. Ugh, they're almost
Right.
like a content, relaxed. So you can introduce some brain games and things, and then cut out some of the walks, because you don't want to be doing too many if it is too hot, because that is potentially dangerous unless you're doing it very early in the morning or
How long
night.
do you normally take like dogs out for?
So me, Loki hardly goes out. He's going out a lot more now, but because he's at daycare with me, he kind of has that as his exercise and brain time, and then he
Yeah.
sleeps basically. But normally after
Yeah.
that, it's like a 45-minute walk. But he's a Labrador, and he needs a little bit more because he's big, a little schnoodle. Possibly doesn't need more than half an hour, but you'd be better off having
Really?
multiple short walks than one longer walk, because it will also
I'm
help you.
wondering if
Not that
I'm
you're
over
allowed to.
exercising her.
It's possible. The thing to ask is her weight. When was the last time you went to the vet? Did they say that she was on a good weight? Is she overweight,
She's a good
underweight?
weight.
In which case, you're
Yeah.
probably about right, because you're feeding her a good diet if you're feeding her raw. So she's getting all
Yeah.
of the goodness from that. And if she's not sort of plumping out or going to skin and bones, you're probably about right.
Getting it about right. But I might look into that actually, because I have got one of those snuff mats.
Snuffle mats, amazing things, absolutely amazing.
So I've got one of those, but the reason I got those is because Schnoodles tend to be quite an anxious breed when they get separated from their owner, and she is like that. And I was a bit naughty. We were in a situation where I couldn't leave her for a lot of the time, because we were staying with a friend who he had cats. So I wasn't allowed to leave her in the flat when we were living with my friend. And that was over about 4 months. There's a lot more history to it, but we were in a situation that, you know, I had to be with her 24/7.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when it started to come to me leaving her, I was so beside myself because I was worried how she was going to be. So I didn't do the separation thing early on enough. But then I started to man up. Because a lot of the time, it's more about us than it is about them.
It's all the time, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's so stupid, isn't it? Oh no, I can't leave her, and just like, oh God's sake, it's more my anxiety than it is hers. But somebody suggested getting a snuffle mat, so my routine now is I need to keep doing it actually and be mindful to keep doing it, even if it's just 10 minutes to go to the shop. But I leave it out for her when I'm about to go out. So the routine is that goes down. I give her her treats and put them and hide them, and she knows that that's mum going out and she'll be coming back.
And what you're
And I've
actually
never
doing,
done it really in the house.
you should do it and introduce it, because what you're actually doing is layering an element of positivity to something that's perceived as negative. So you're actually giving her a reward for you leaving. So she's actually going to associate goodness with you leaving, not, oh God, I'm on my own, I'm going anxious. So that's a common thing that a lot of people go through with, and that's how separation anxiety starts, is the dog can't function on their own. But what you want to do is facilitate them to be confident in their own self, that they can be okay on their own. And that's pretty much our whole concept, how it works so well, is because we work around building those dogs' confidence and social skills, so they are absolutely besotted with their owners, of course, but they function if they're not about, because it's not practical for you to be with them 24/7, which is what a lot of people are going to find out now, unfortunately. So anything you can do that entertains themselves.
I need to remind myself.
Right.
Yeah. I need to do that a bit more actually. Ruby, Tuesday. What's this? Ruby, what's this? What's this? Come here. Come see me. What's this? Oh Is she awake?
Sit.
She's awake.
Sit.
Oh my God, she's alive.
And
She's
kisses.
alive. I know. I love you
Quite
too.
gentle.
They're so funny, aren't they? It's like they forget you're there. Hello, darling. Hello.
Yeah.
I know.
So
It's
you left
exciting.
me.
I know. We're so stupid, aren't we? Right. I think that's my signal to go. I think that's our 6 o'clock.
Perfect.
We go for one. We go for one last little stroll around the block at 6, and then it's tea time, and then it's gin o'clock. Oh,
Gin Friday apparently today.
Gin o'clock for her mum.
Yeah.
Happy
So,
Easter.
okay, one last thing then. As a last shout out, what do you have going on now? Anything extra you wanted to promote or shout about?
Well, there was until Corona happened, and then it all went.
Damn Corona.
Shout
About
out
in a
to
way.
producers who want to give you a job.
Yeah, because we're gonna need.
No, in all seriousness, before this madness happened, obviously there's my charity seed, which I'm still ongoing, and you know we're doing our gala in November, so I'm on the lookout for sponsors still, which is very important, and that's in November. So I'm hoping that by then, you know, there will be people willing to
There should be out.
and help us get this fundraising event on. Also still doing my public speaking, if anyone is interested, rather than just speaking to myself in the flat or speaking to Ruby. I speak to you a lot, don't I, sweetheart? And then very excited that I was just started recording my first narration of an audio book by
awesome.
a wonderful author called Louise Beach, called I Am Dust. So that should have been out May, June, but it will probably be July, August now. But that's something that I'm really excited about. So look out for that. And then the rest of it, lots of irons in fires, but just got to wait and see what happens really. But I'm just hoping that, you know, all will be well and all is as it should be in the weirdest way, you know.
Yeah, back to how it was. That's all we want.
But yeah, that's it really.
Oh, lovely. Well, once again, thank you and thank Ruby for joining us. I really, really appreciate it.
Not at
have
all.
a lovely rest of your day.
And you, love. Have lots of Easter eggs.
Yeah, thank you.